Here's something interesting in that regard. You know, people ask themselves, for example, do you believe in God? And I would say that's actually a nonsensical question. I would say whether or not you believe in God, you're more or less stuck with him. He's there whether you believe it or not, and it has nothing to do with belief, and I'll tell you why. It's actually straightforward. Okay, so let's go back to the ancient Israelites. Now, they had some rules. They believed that there was a unity behind everything, and that unity was unnameable. So it was against the rules to speak the name of God. Why? Well, because as soon as you speak the name of something, you categorize it. And as soon as it's categorizable and understandable, then it's not the totality. It's something you've parceled off and made into a concept. The totality of being is beyond all conceptualization. Okay, so then you might ask yourself, well, is there a totality of being? Well, the answer to that is, well, obviously, because everything there is sums up to one totality. Well, what's the nature of that totality? Well, it's unutterable. You can't say. It's too complex. It's too rich. It's not within human ability to grasp. Is it there? Well, it's there just like a room contains the objects in the room. It's there for sure. Okay, so there is a totality that's unnameable. The next question would be, well, do you have a relationship with it? Well, the answer to that is, of course you have a relationship with it, because every part has a relationship to the whole.
Because you're alive, basically.
Well, and you're inside the totality. Now, then you might ask, well, what's the nature of your relationship with that totality? And I would say, well, you tell me. It's easy to know. Is your life rich and meaningful and worthy of sustaining from your own perspective? Do you believe that life is worthwhile? Do you live it in a manner that makes it worthwhile? And if the answer to that is yes, then I would say, well, you have the proper relationship with the totality. And if the answer is no, you doubt the value of life, you're hostile and resentful, you're bored, you're afraid, you're hurt, well, then there's something wrong with your relationship with the totality. Well, what's so complicated about that? It's self-evident, and it's stunning to me that it's the subject of so much constant dispute. Now, you might object, well, you have a relationship with the totality, but it's not a personal relationship, which is what the ancient Israelites claimed, and of course what the modern Protestants claim even more dramatically. And I would say, well, you could be right, but let's consider it an experiment. Here's the experiment. Try to establish a personal relationship with this totality, and here's the criteria. I will say that whenever you're doing something that's intensely meaningful, then you've established a personal relationship with this totality. And if all you ever did were things that were intensely personally meaningful, well, you'd live an ideal life, and you wouldn't be afraid of death, and you wouldn't become bitter and resentful. And it's also doable. I think with every choice you make, you decide whether you're going to do that or not. It's difficult to do meaningful things. Everybody doesn't always agree with them. They're kind of idiosyncratic. There's no necessary reason that you'll be rewarded by the culture with material success if you do meaningful things. So it's a shot in the dark. It's a leap of faith, but it's right within your grasp. You can do it just by deciding to. Well, what I learned from writing Maps of Meaning was that the fate of the world literally depends on the choice that each individual makes with regards to their relationship to the totality of being. And that's that. And that's the central message of profound religious systems. It says there's more to you than you think, a lot more. There's more for evil, way more than you think. And there's way more for good. And whether you know it or not, you're always choosing between those two. And whether you know it or not, the fate of being itself rests on your choice. Well, Who the hell wants to believe that?
Exactly. We have
It's too weighty. Well,
Sure.
I don't care if it's weighty or not. When you're trying to investigate the reasons behind something like the Holocaust, things get weighty very rapidly.